She's a little strange.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming this afternoon for our February 16th regional Best Start meeting. So it's a group here. We're doing something really new tonight, you all. We're doing our hybrid. So we are here actually in person at AVPH while you are viewing us from our Zoom account. You're zooming in on us. So we're going to do two things at once, but we want to make sure that you capture all of the information that we're going to give you tonight. So first of all, welcome. I'm glad you could be with us today and see what we're going to be going through. If you missed anything from our last meeting, we're going to just kind of briefly go over materials that Stephanie might have sent you through the email. You should have gotten the email. We're going to talk about our values and our meeting agreements. So at the end of this meeting time, there are some takeaways that you should have. The takeaway should be we're going to finalize our values and our meeting agreements for our Best Start AV Region 5. You should also know that we're going to be reviewing and understand the Best Start AV partnership. the structure and the charter membership. So we're going to review all of that in this meeting. Also, we're going to review and understand the Best Start AV framework. So by the end of this section, you should have a clearer understanding of where this Region 5 Best Start is going. We're going to go real slow. You're going to have a chance to ask questions. So we're going to do that. Now, when we go, next screen, please, we're going to go through some very important items. Before we get started, housekeeping. Could you make sure you sign in the chat box? We have our sign-in sheet in the chat box. Make sure you sign in. For those who are here, you can just sign in. We have paper here. When you go there, if you need interpretation for whatever your language is, for language interpretation, the little round ball, click the round ball, and you should be able to designate your language of choice. If you haven't already done so, make sure your name is on your Zoom link so we know who we're talking to. And if you would, put your mic on mute because we can pick up, if you're on Zoom, we can pick up your sounds in the background. And now I'm going to have Carmen or Carlos just do that, go through how to change your, how to sign in with the globe. So I'm going to let them go for it.
She's doing it, isn't she? ¿Sí la escucha? She's done. Okay, she's done.
Okay, great. So this is our agenda for today. We've gone through our desired takeaways, but this is what we're going to do for tonight. We're going to have an icebreaker. Woo, 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 woo. We're going to go through our meeting agreements. We're affirm our vision statement and values. We have polls for you to take online. And for those who are in person, it's just, we have a voting polls. Yeah, paper. But online, we're going to set up a voting poll so you'll be able to vote on those things. And we are going to go over our framework, shifting of the 6 conditions, as well as asset-based community development, our ABCDs, and partnership structures. So we have quite a bit, but it's going to go quickly. I'm excited about it. Next slide. We now have our icebreakers. So Yilda is going to come and she's going to lead you into our icebreaker. Okay, come on, Yilda.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Darrell. So for those of you watching online and in person, we're going to start with our icebreaker. So the icebreaker is, what is your superpower or talent and why? So for the ones who are online, you guys feel free to come off mic and share your superpower or talent.
And we're going to use this later. So tell them that we're going to use that later.
Oh, okay. And so for this, keep in mind that we will be sharing this and using this superpower later.
This is Diana.
Diana has a question? No, she answered. Oh, she answered. Oh.
Ask her to answer.
On here?
This is Diana. Yes, listening superpower.
Okay, go ahead and feel free to answer your superpower.
Listening.
Oh, she's listening?
No, that's her superpower.
Oh, listening. Okay, anyone else?
You have a nice smile.
Oh, we have one on the chat.
We have one on the chat.
She said observe.
Wait.
Observe. We have one on the chat.
Observe it, another superpower.
Yes, we have one in the chat. I work really well under pressure, and my best work comes when I'm up against the deadline.
So working well under pressure and meeting deadlines. That's a good one. Anyone else? Darrell tells good jokes.
Uh-oh. My superpower is I have a good sense of humor.
Woo, we love that.
So many.
Work well under pressure and with deadlines.
You said one. Carlos, what's your superpower?
I can adapt easily to the
Adapting,
situation.
adapting to situations.
I look 21. That's my superpower.
Wow. And she's a good liar.
Okay.
Wow. Wow, wow.
Damisha Jones on the chat, she responded, understanding all sides of the spectrum.
Ooh, that's a good one, Demisha.
She's really observant.
Observe
And
it.
really oversees everything.
Ooh, managerial skills.
Another one? Okay. There's another one in the chat.
Carla also put on the chat, my superpower is to make connections.
Making connections.
There's another one.
Oh, Maritza also put, I am pretty resourceful and can find answers for clients. And then my superpower is to be persistent.
Persistent.
Nice.
That's good.
Oh, I got one more superpower. I forgot. My other superpower is I meet people very easily, and I am the unofficial mayor of the Antelope Valley.
Okay, good ones, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone else before? Okay, is that it? All right, thank you so much.
That was fun. Now you will know we're going to use those superpowers later on as we continue on in our meeting. So make a note of what you said your superpowers are, because we're going to need them. So then I'm going to turn this to Stephanie. Stephanie is going to read our meeting agreements.
Hi everyone, so let me just stand up because I'm pretty blind. But the first one would be punctual, stay present and engaged and on topic, put the focus on the future, be authentic, be yourself. One person speaks at a time, agree to disagree respectfully, finish your sentence, not your paragraph, step up, step back, exercise confidentiality when necessary, be patient and open to the technology, and then keep your video on if possible, assume positive intentions, a rainy day will make flowers, separate person from the role, and be creative and have fun.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Steph. So what we're going to do in person, for those who are here, we're going to take a poll or a vote on our Zoom for our vision statement. Now, many of you who were here at our last meeting, remember we did a poll for our vision statement for our Region 5 Best Start. Well, we encountered some technical difficulties with Zoom that didn't capture and keep the information, so we have to redo it again. Count it to our, it wasn't our fault. We're gonna blame Zoom on that one. So we're gonna do it again. The poll is about to be launched on Zoom right now. We need everyone to vote on what you would like to see as the vision statement for our Region 5 Best Start. So you will see that the polling is open. We're going to give you a few minutes for that to vote. What do you think best represents our Antelope Valley vision statement? Okay. You have that? Yeah. So the vision statements are educate, elevate, community. That's one. The other is Together, we explore the frontier of hope through wholeness, health, and growth. The next one is building collaborations to support flourishing communities. And then we have united new minds create a stable and strong community. The last one is Antelope Valley Families Stronger Together. So from these 5, vote which one best represents or speaks to what you would consider a vision statement for our Region 5 Best Start AV. And I'm going to give you a few minutes. I know, you got to go through it and pause and contemplate. I kind of want to do a little song here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's enough of that. How we doing, Steffi, online?
We're doing good, just a couple more.
Just a few more, like maybe another minute or so.
Okay.
Just to get everybody on there.
Awesome blossom. So when you choose this, we're capturing this information. This time we are taking pictures. We're going to make sure we have it. Yeah. And yes. And then we're coming back and we're going to let you know.
Now we're gonna go to the next one.
Now we're going to do, thank you for that. Yay. We have one more poll for you to do. And this one is on our values, our affirming our values, because many of you might have received from Stephanie in an email our values list. Well, our team went through what would our values be here in the Antelope Valley? What speaks to our values? And Tracy did the word cloud, and we have some similar words. So our Region 5 really is pretty concise, but we're going to do this polling on our value groups. So launch that, okay? Have at it. And I'm going to read them to you. They're in sections, so you vote on which one best speaks, or you believe best speaks to the values of the Antelope Valley and that you want. Then these are going to go in our charter. So what you're doing now is going to reflect in our charter, because we're going to be a charter up here in the Antelope Valley. So it's important that you vote. We want to get your voice. So the first one is compassion, communication, relationships, respect, service, and honesty. That's one. The next one is compassion, communication, acceptance, respect, and integrity. See what I mean? We're on the same page. Okay, the next one, honesty, compassion, accountability, respect, empathy, love, and trust. We have a few more. Unity, honesty, modesty, respect, equality, and harmony. Here we go with another one. Communication, trust, loyalty, community, unity, and respect. And our last one, punctuality, confidentiality, responsibility, commitment, honesty, and credibility. These are our choices. As you can tell, we have a lot of similar values, which speaks to our community in the Antelope Valley. I love it. These are the good things of the Antelope Valley.
We'll give it another 30 seconds.
Okay.
This is Diana online.
Hi, Diana.
I'm not able to submit this. The button isn't working for me.
Just tell me personally which one you would want to vote for.
I got that, but my submit button is not working.
That's all right. Just tell me verbally, Diana.
Oh, I'm sorry, number 2.
Number 2. we're
You do have to choose no on the rest of the options in order to submit if you're trying
Okay,
to submit on them.
that may be it. Let me try that.
Do we only vote on one of the six, or do we?
Yes, only one of the 6,
Well, I
Fran.
voted for all six.
You're lucky. It
I
did
guessed
work.
all of the six because I thought it was either a yes or a no, and so anyway, I voted yes on all six.
Does she want to tell us which one she likes best?
Which one do you like best?
Well, I can put them back up because I already submitted it, and I don't have it on my.
That's okay, Fran. We love you.
Okay, well, mine is love, you know that, so.
Can you see me? Okay.
Yes.
We'll get back to you.
There you go. There's your poll. Yeah, I was able to submit after I did that. So
Okay.
what's the problem? Okay.
Awesome. Are we pretty much everybody? Good, 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 good. Love my ladies. I love my ladies. Okay, so now we're going to do quickly the shifting the 6 conditions, and Tracy's going to do this presentation. Oh yeah, Sylvia's going to go first. I forget. I always forget her. Why did I do that? Sylvia, come on up here. Yeah, I know. Just love me. Just love me.
Welcome, everybody. Bienvenidos. The last couple of weeks, we've really, can you go back to, or can you go to the next slide, please? The last couple of meetings that we've had, we've really have gone deep into discussing the different approaches, the vision. We talked about what methodologies we're looking at. And my first question, especially for those that have been here through some of this, and you could either put this in the chat or you could put this in, or you can get off microphone and say something. But really, what have you seen as a common pattern from what we've been talking about? What have you seen that relates to the community, that relates to the residents? Does anybody want to say anything from Zoom?
Compassion is what I've seen.
Absolutely. It's definitely, we've seen a lot of that in a lot of the approaches. And that was one of the reasons when we were really sitting down and looking at a lot of the stuff that really just pertains and aligns with our values, that aligns with the work that we're doing. We saw that there was a lot of compassion, that we needed to have, really delve into the importance of community voice, right? A lot of these approaches really talk about how the community cannot function without its voice, that we can't just come in and say, this is what you need, as opposed to you telling us this is what we need as a community. I think one of the other things that we've also seen is the importance of community action, that if we want to see some changes in our systems here within the Antelope Valley, then it's going to have to take the Antelope Valley to make some of those changes. But also the number one thing I really do think that a lot of these approaches have done is that we need to value and we need to emphasize the experience and the skills from our community residents and our stakeholders. So it just really excites me in terms of the work that we're going to be looking at, how we're looking at things, and really about what our community is going to look like. And we'll continue to build on this as we go on, because our biggest thing is about how we're going to make systems change. And the current Best Start purpose right now is about cultivating community voice, leadership, and power to advance systems change. So we believe that all these tools that we've been gathering, we're going to be able to use that to start making some systems change here in the Antelope Valley. Today, we're going to review 2 of the methods that align to the Antelope Valley work and with Best Start. The first one is the shifting of 6 conditions. I'd like to bring up Tracy LaMonica to help us through this section.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. My name is Tracy LaMonica. I'm the Policy Analyst and Partnership Lead with Children's Bureau, Best Start Program, Region 5. And we're going to talk about systems change. So I'd like you all to, if we can change the screen slide. Well, I'd like you all to take a look at the pyramid. If you're online, if you can take a look at the pyramid, we're going to talk about systems change. And systems change is about shifting the conditions that are holding a problem in place. And the 6 conditions of systems change starts first with structural change, if you see at the top, also known as explicit. And these are policies, practices, and resources. So let's look at policies first. So policies it refers to rules, regulations, strategies that determine actions in a sector or country. And they can exist at any level: city government, county, state, federal. Those are all policies, and they work in an oversight bodies of government, businesses, and they can also be in nonprofits. Practices, these are habits and actions of communities, coalition, networks operating at a collective level across society. And practices are what a population and organizations across the society do, as opposed to policies that guide them. Resource, this is kind of what it sounds like: resources. This could be about money, people, knowledge, and other assets that are allocated and distributed. Now let's look at the second, the purple. This is the next level of the triangle. It's called semi-explicit. And these are relationships and connections. And again, that's pretty accurate as a description. It refers to the strength of connections and the frequency and quality of communication among those in the system and those with differing histories and viewpoints. Power dynamics, right next to it, we've got that is the distribution of decision-making, authority, and formal and informal influence between and among individuals, but also organizations. Now we come to the final, which is the green, and that is the mental models. And that is the hardest and the longest to change within the 6 conditions. These are habits of thought, and they are deeply held beliefs and assumptions and the way of operating that are taken for granted and influence how we think and what we do. And they are the hardest to change. I've heard different time frames, but it could take anywhere to like 10 years to a generation, because these are the way you think, and that doesn't happen overnight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at one particular system, and that's going to be law enforcement. And so, and I know Diana Couch will be happy about that. We're going to look at law enforcement as a system, and we're going to give you a set of questions for those in the Zoom. You're going to be given those questions right now, and we're going to go into a breakout room for 20 minutes, and we're going to review. You're each going to get a set of questions. We're going to kind of go through them, and then we'll come back. What I'm going to ask you to do is each in your breakout rooms, if you can identify a note taker and a reporter. When we come back, we'll ask that the reporter reports for your group. So we're going to get started, and as I said, we're going to do about 20 minutes. And so Stephanie, I'm going to ask you to handle the breakout rooms over there, because she's our techie extraordinaire along with Nadia, and we're going to get started. So 20 minutes in your breakout room. Are there any questions on Zoom? Any questions? Okay.
Hi, Alyssa. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to talk to Alyssa.
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, is everything okay? Like you can hear us good and everything?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
You
Then.
guys just, I had one question.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do the values poll for the AM, correct?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
It's because it wasn't ready to, like, we didn't have it, but we're gonna send it out in the email. So
Got
the
it.
response is gonna be in the email. Yeah.
Got it. I was able to get the other results just because with this one, we went from one poll to the next. It
Oh, yeah.
literally closed out the other results, but I know you guys have them. It just won't be in the notes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we took screenshots this time around, so we don't mess up.
Cool.
But we have them, so thank you though.
No problem.
All right then. Bye.
Bye.
So let's wrap up all those conversations. We're gonna come back in less than a minute. So that's to the Zoom world. We're wrapping it up. And for my girl Carmen out there, hola. No? Okay, and we've got how many? Almost done?
29 seconds.
Okay. So. We don't want to rush, but you know, we've got to end it eventually. All good things come to an end.
They're coming in 30
Okay,
seconds.
okay, cool. Okay. So we're just waiting to get those Zoom people back in, so to the main room. So.
Do you want me to present this?
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I know the Zoom, our residents on Zoom are back in the main room. So, one moment.
These are all in Spanish.
So.
You guys need a device? Yeah, I do.
So we're back in, everyone, we're back in. So if we can, we're gonna get started. So I'm going to ask our ladies in the room, I'm gonna ask Flora, she was with our, Maria, our resident here. So if we can maybe go over what you talked about with your group. Flora? Do we have okay, so we have Sylvia reporting. Sylvia, do you need a
Mike.
mic?
Mic check. Mike. Drop the mic. Don't drop the mic.
I got one right here.
Oh, okay.
Don't drop the mic.
Okay.
Okay, so here with my group, along with Yilda, Flora, Maria, and myself, we talked about our first question was, how should resources be used in law enforcement? And there's several things that we came up with. The first one is that resources should be developed along with the community. We also felt that the community should be educated by law enforcement of what the resources are, and that law enforcement should also be really aware of what resources there are in the community, so that if they find themselves in a situation That it isn't just, we don't know how to help you, it's, hey, here's a resource that can help you, here's a resource that you can get for here. So for them to be really knowledgeable of what exists in our community. And then to use money to really learn about their community, whether it's a community, group or things, but really even identifying somebody within the community who can become a liaison.
Great. Okay.
Both?
Yeah, you might as well.
And then for the second question, of what should relationships between law enforcement and community residents look like? We said that a lot of what happens both within the community and with law enforcement is all based on fear. And so really confronting that fear and really knowing about each other and what is it, acknowledging what makes me fearful of them and vice versa. So really just confronting that fear. Taking the time to really know about the community. Who's here, who's there, not just make the assumptions that that's where all the drugs are, that's where this, if you can actually really learn a lot about a community if you take the time to do it.
Yeah.
And then the third part that we said that would really help with relationships with law enforcement is to identify leaders in the community, and that'll and then to develop these relationships with these leaders. We had an example where it could be where, let's just say, police officers come to a party where there's a family and there's some issue happening, and let's just say they say, oh, this Aunt Maria's over here, she seems calm, let's talk to her, let's hear what's happening. And then they talk about what's going on. Now they've identified somebody that could be a possible leader within this area, this community, and then they were able to really react positively or better of handling the situation.
Yeah.
And then remembering later on, if I went to that community again, who am I gonna speak to? Well, it's gonna be Maria, because she might be somebody that's already identified as being able to help and have communication.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sylvia. And I think what we learned right now, and we're going to learn later, but also with the AM, is if you didn't know systems change, if you didn't understand it, or maybe a little bit hesitant to, hey, what is that? We're finding out right now. These are the systems that are within that we can move to enable change. So, hey, Stephanie, let's go over to Zoom World. What's happening in the chat and what's happening with our group over there? Yeah, if you want to come off mute, please do so. Just take yourself off mute, or if you want to put it in the chat, Stephanie's over there monitoring so she can help you out. So whichever way you feel more comfortable, go ahead and do that. So we'll just give our virtual people a chance to see if they want to come off. Bridget, I know you're not shy, so come off mute. And Diana, Couch. We got Fran, Diana. Come on, we know all of you.
There's no one shy in that group.
Diana, would you like to come off mute and share? Or Fran?
Bridget took all the notes, so I think she would be the one to share.
Okay, great. Hey, Bridget, you want to share?
Okay, so Fran, some of the words that came to mind were compassion. For what are the policies that need to be changed in law enforcement is compassion, understanding, communication, change policy in order for community to be aware of them. Community needs to also compromise with law enforcement. There's also a security issue change and have more compassion for the community, be more selective of the problem and not specifically the race. Law enforcement needs to be aware of mental health and diffuse situation to get appropriate people to help. And then involve children in group sessions to aid with mental health or any other problems that may be present.
Yeah, multi-generational, definitely. Thank you so much, Bridget. And was that was there one group or was there two groups here? There's two. So did the second group? Who did we have in the second group, Stephanie? Martha and Maritza. Did we have anybody that wanted to speak on that group about the breakout session?
Yeah, I can go. My name is Maritza, and in our group there was just two questions. It was, what are some policies that need to be changed in law enforcement? And my partner and I came up with, there are a lot of policies that have been changed, but they're not really being enforced when it comes to that. as well as, so taking a look at what that is and finding a way to better implement those so that they are being enforced, as well as maybe like more mental health trainings, more education for these officers, as well as maybe a policy that when they're responding to a mental health call, sending clinicians or a crisis team to de-escalate instead of sending officers first. And then the second question was, what practices need to be changed in law enforcement? And we were talking about how there are a lot of laws already, again, but same thing, they're not being enforced. So how do we do that? Because if they're not being enforced, then that's when issues are arising because these things are not happening. And then I myself said that I think a good practice would be for the way that law enforcement approaches situations and people. A lot of times it's with a lot of hostility, a lot of control, and that usually doesn't end very well. And those were our only questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate our virtual residents participating. And overall, I think what we started out was talking about systems change, what it entails, how we can do systems change. And I think through this exercise gives everybody a really good understanding of the intricacies of it and how we can move these things forward. So I hope that was very helpful. And I'm going to turn it over to my director, Sylvia.
Thank you, Tracy. So I want to talk about the next area, the next theory that we're looking at is called, it's called asset-based community development. And as you can see in this picture here, it just kind of gives you an idea of just the different areas. But basically what asset-based community development, or ABCD, is, it's a place-based framework pioneered by John McKnight and Jody Kretzmann. The foundation of ABC rests on three simple truths. Everyone has gifts, everyone has something to contribute, and everyone cares about something, and that passion in his or her motivational act. So strong, safe, and healthy neighborhoods and communities are built on the strengths and capacities of their residents, along with the associations that where everybody together calls their community home. Part of looking at what ABCD is like is, as Tracy said, it's having a shift in mindset. So instead of looking at the glass half empty, we're going to look at it as the glass half full. By looking at it as glass half full is that communities have agencies, or that have citizens that are seen as assets, that they bring value to the community. And so in shifting the mindset, there's different things that we've got to look at. So for example, if we are constantly looking at issues in our community as problems, then the shift would have to be is that we're looking at that as possibilities. That if we're looking for blame, let's look about shared ownership. Where do we stand? What do we own as part of the situation? When we look at taking risks, instead of looking at it taking risks, is we're looking at it as we have courageous leaders. We have people who really want to just go out because they want to make some positive changes. And then really just, instead of it being a provider or organizational led project, it's really about citizen or resident led, that the projects, that the whole initiative and where we take this work is led by the community for the community. The ABCD approach starts with discovering the assets in the neighborhood, as you can see. And then it's followed by asking residents to share their gifts, finding people who connect in these shared gifts, or who may have the similar types of skills or their gifts. And then after that is really connecting with people with the same passion to act collectively and provide care. Next slide. So what goes with ABCD is always looking at what assets we have in our community. This is just an example of a community mapping, asset mapping. What they did in this community is they took different parts of their community and then they started finding who are the individuals, who are the cultural, what are the stories, what is the economy, institution, associations, and physical space looks like. So they're really looking at looking at discovering and asking and connecting. The essence of ABCD and asset mapping, again, is to discover, ask, and connect. The goal of this tool, next slide, please. Yeah, the goal of this tool is to go beyond identifying the needs of the neighborhood families and children's to drive agency service. The ultimate measurable goal is to increase the number of residents who are actively involved in the lives of their children and their families in their neighborhoods. Asset mapping is not just another list of resources. We can create lists of resources day and night, but what it really does when we do the asset mapping, it's a strategy to identify assets that are available from within the community and engaging the community to unlock these talents of people all within their community to help solve problems and build a better community. On the slide you see on the second picture is what the path of residents could look like. Now, one thing to make sure is that in order to unlock the power of community, we need to rethink how to view individual residents. So there's 3 levels of places where the residents can be. We must acknowledge their skills and identify them as existing resources, but we also must expand the roles. So it's not just where somebody's going to be a client of an organization, a client within a strategy. It has to include, they have to move beyond the client to be able to serve as advisors, to help institutions provide more useful services. But the greatest value is that they are producers of their own and their community's well-being. So as we can see, you could be part of client, you could be an advisor, you could be a producer. And there isn't just a one area. You could actually participate in different parts of that range. And residents in most successful and effective systems participate in all 3 roles. Next slide. So one of the things that we're going to do today, and this is going to be a group where we're going to use the Jamboard, but we're going to stay in the main room. And what we're going to talk about is that there's going to be several questions that we're asking. And this goes back a little bit as to when we talked about, when we did the icebreaker, and we talked about what strengths we have. So what we're going to do together as a group is the first question is, what is one talent or gift that you possess and that you would benefit the work being done that would be a benefit to the work being done? Also, what are the strengths in the Antelope Valley that we can build upon to make our community stronger? And the third question is, what voices do we still need at the table, such as more faith-based, more parents? Do we need to have the school districts here? Do we need to have officials from the government? Who are we missing? So we're going to take about 10 minutes to come up with a list, and then we'll come back and share it out. But we'll still kind of put it on break just because we're doing live and but not a breakout room. It'll just still be in there. And then we'll come back and share out and report what our thoughts on about assets and talents and skills, because as we move along, we have to remember that these are the things that are going to build our charter. This is what's going to build our being able to identify who within even our small Best Start community to our bigger community, who are the leaders, who are people that can bring experiences and can bring skills and knowledge that's going to be actually really beneficial for us to move the work forward. So let's go ahead and take about 10 minutes. people, we're gonna go ahead and do 2 breakout groups. Or 1 breakout group, okay.
Hi, Tony. We are actually in breakout rooms. Somebody's really.
We're good? Okay. So we have a few minutes to do a little reporting back. Anybody on the Zoom, anybody want to, did you assign a reporter? Somebody, we want to start with everybody on Zoom?
Bridget, Anna, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Well, I was having trouble with my icons at the bottom. I couldn't get on or off or anything.
Aw.
So,
Did you want to share, Fran, now that you're on? What is one talent gift you possess that would benefit the work being done?
patience, friendliness.
And Fran, if there's anything that we know about you is persistence.
Okay, thank you. I think you guys know me better than I know myself.
Okay, and the second question, Fran, was what are the strengths in the AV that we can build upon to make our community stronger?
Okay, first of all, family. Secondly of all, we have to get our city council, our city administrators involved in they're involved in the school systems, but they're involved in this, and not what we're looking for. How would I explain it? They need to be in our meetings, for one thing. They need to, but we need to get the city council more involved in this particular program, not the school system per se, because they are involved. They are involved in Lancaster High School. They're involved in the the space age school bus, and so forth and so on. And then, and I think, also, no, I guess I my mind's going a mile a minute and nothing's coming out.
It's okay, Fran.
No, you're doing good.
No, but mostly I think the most important thing is friendliness. I think being my favorite is compassion, and and being able to be outwardly, but not crazily outward, but to try to bring people in and let them know that they have a value. A lot of people, and I'm kind of in a way speaking about seniors, they don't, at this age of the game, some of them don't realize they still have value, and they have reason and capabilities of contributing to the community. And I think if we can get some of them more involved in what we're doing here, I think we will get ahead a lot faster. That's my opinion, of course.
Thank you, Fran. Maritza, did you want to share?
Just out of the sake of time, if we can just maybe get one or pick one of the questions to respond to, please.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share what was mentioned. Resourcefulness to find linkages. So many agencies that can call upon each other to help clients obtain what they need. We need more parents and school districts at the table. Different perspectives are always better.
Perfect. Thank you, Bridget. And then we'll share here at our table. Do you want to take one or two questions and then just kind of give us a few of the things you guys came up with? Either one. Yeah. Oh, you need the microphone.
Hello. So some of the talents we picked out here were persistence. So we've hearing that, right? Observant, desire to learn, consistency, passionate, organization, and empathy. And then some of the strengths we see in the AV and that we want to build upon are the growth in the community and the goals to move forward to make change.
Awesome. Those are great. Thank you. And as Flora just mentioned, as we start hearing these things, even when we've done some of the other activities, what are some of the words that we hear coming up for a lot of people? Compassion, persistence, passionate about the work. And I think these are like the perfect examples of the type of residents and community members we have here in the Antelope Valley that we're looking for to really just start moving this work forward. And so I'm excited to hear some of this stuff. We're going to switch roles just a little bit. One of the things we want to talk about before our day is over, and if we can go to the next slide. So we're, as we've been building our structure and our framework, we've talked about not just approaches and theories, but we've also created, and voted on our vision. We've talked about our the values that we have. And one of the things that we were looking at is, what does our partnership membership structure look like? If you go to next slide. So what we did as we were thinking about this, and I know that it was done with the previous charter, is that we really had to look at three principal areas that really made it so that we targeted everybody within our membership. And so the first part was the criteria. And what does that mean? What are the categories of membership? So the first one we came up with was parents. And a parent is defined as a person who takes care of a child under 18 years of age. The next one was residents. A resident is a member of the community that lives within the Antelope Valley region and does not have any children under the age of 8. And then we have stakeholders, a nonprofit or governmental organization and business that works in and serves the Antelope Valley region. So as we look at these three different categories, it kind of gives you some thought or some food for thought in terms of what area would you fall into. And we have people that are they may come in and they may be representing an organization, but they may find themselves that they feel that they're better in the category of parents or that they're better in the category of residents. And what's going to happen as we move along and we do our membership enrollment is that you will have the choice of where you wanted to be. And we give an example of, we have a lot of our Best Start members who, for example, we may have a few people that work at AVPH. Now, one of the things when it's going to come down to like to voting later on is that each one of these, the parents and the residents will each get a vote when we do voting. But when there's a group of stakeholders, so for example, if there is a group of 4 people that all work at AVPH, they together will have to come up with creating or agreeing on one vote. So a stakeholder or organization will only get one vote. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But part of it too is that we really wanted to look at, and as we're talking about this, not only did we talk about what the categories are, but we also wanted to talk about how do we incorporate a list of expectations that really covers attendance, that covers participation, and that is inclusive of our categories. If you can go to the next slide, Steph, please. Again, our 3 principles are the criteria. What category do you fall under? Attendance. Are you attending consistently? And then participation. And participation doesn't just involve in person. Participation in meetings, participation in workshops that we've been able to provide. So we have to take a look at all of that. So one of the lists that we created that we thought that really took all of it in is, Steph, if the next slide. So this is what we came up with. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this, and then we're going to do a very small breakout session where you in groups are going to take a look at that and say, have we covered everything? Are we missing anything? What can we add to this? So the first one was that you fall under the category of parent, resident, stakeholder as your membership designation. Or then we found some spelling errors earlier, so you'll have to bear with us. But for the second one is that they attend 8 out of the regional partnership meetings in a 6-month period. That they attend at least one of the 2 convenings in a 6-month period. And that, here's the spelling, their active participation in at least one community event, one workshop series, partnership and regional meeting planning, like this meeting that you would want to be part of the planning, or showcase planning that we do every 6 months. Members earn voting privileges if the expectations mentioned above are met. And then members, residents, and stakeholders all get one vote in the process. And again, like I explained, stakeholders, if stakeholders have more than one representative, only one person of that group votes. So that's kind of like what we came up with. And earlier in the day, we had a lot of people who felt like, I think we kind of covered a lot of our 3 principles, but we definitely want to give you the opportunity to take a look at this and say, are you in agreement with this? What would you like to see added? What would you like to see removed? And as we move forward, we also understand that we haven't been able to do a lot of in-person events due to the pandemic. But hopefully as we start seeing some of that lift, and as we start with even just our meetings in person, we're hoping to have more of an opportunity to do that. So we're going to go ahead and take 5 minutes, and we'll do breakout groups and then have people take a look at this and find out, is this something that you agree with? Do we want to add this to our charter? Because like I said, by the time that we're done in June with creating and developing all of this will all be included in our Best Start charter. Okay, ready? Okay. So 5 minutes. Okay. All right, we'll come back. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. And we'll start off with then the group. Flora, in your group, were there any ideas, or did you guys agree with what we have there, or was there something that you felt we needed to add?
No, we agreed with it all, and we were very thankful that there was the definitions, because sometimes we fall under different categories. So thank you for that.
Okay, and then how about on Zoom? How did you guys feel about these membership expectations? Was there anything that stood out or anything missing? What do you guys want to share with us?
For the members that participated, they agreed.
Okay. Awesome. In the morning, we did also have consensus that pretty much everything had been covered. And I think we want to make sure that, when we're creating these things, or even as we're reading them, we want to be inclusive of everybody. So I'm really glad to hear that this is something that feels right for the community members and our partnership. And again, like we said, this is going to be going into the charter. And you'll be getting, the other thing that we're doing is today, after we put everything together, because we had both Zoom and live, and there were Jamboards, there was notes taken, we're gonna put everything together, and from all the different questions that we had, we're gonna do a summary, and we're gonna make sure that we share that with everybody that attended the meetings today. So we're really excited about that. And like I said, we're going to continue doing this work. We're going to continue doing, you know, building and learning from you as the community, and learning about your skills and what you can bring to the table, and about each other. And as we see, we've got 2 more theories that we'll do at the next meeting. But for the next meeting, we'll also talk about committees and what it's going to look like. But real quick, let me just show you what our structure looks like in terms of membership. So as we look at this, we look at the partnership is overall, it oversees everything when it comes to Best Start and the decision making for Best Start. That is what projects the community is doing. What are the steps that we want to take? So as you can see here, Children's Bureau and AVPH, we work along the side of the partnership. We are the ones that are, we're doing grant handling, we're bringing the supports, we're bringing the information, and gathering even local resources to be able to bring that. From there, we're going to create 4 subcommittees. And the subcommittees will be a welcome and outreach committee, a sustainability committee, policy committee, and data committee. And out of there, there'll be 2 co-chairs for each one of those committees. And the co-chairs will be resident led. So this isn't where the co-chairs will make all the decisions for each data. What it is that the co-chair really is just more of a guide, but it's also the reporter. So when we meet for our meetings, when we have our convenings, the co-chairs will be the ones that are going to come and present on the work that's being done in the subcommittees. And next meeting, we will talk a little bit more of that. We will talk about how the decision making will look like, and we will also talk about the voting process. So it really, again, we really wanted to make this about the partnership and have equal vote across, so that it isn't just one person voting, one person making the decisions, but really the partnership making the decisions. So I know we're also running out of time. Okay, we're cutting it. We may even be able to get out earlier, but before we leave, I want to talk about, if you can go to the next, just do a little bit of reflection. I know we talked about the shift to 6 conditions, and part of that is, how are we starting to shift our thinking? How are we shifting so that the problems that have been staying stagnant for so long, how do we change those? Then we talked about asset-based community development, and what does that do, and what is our focus? And how do we start looking for things that are already valuable and that are assets within our community, and how are we going to use them to better our work? And then we talked about partnership structure. So maybe what I'd like to do is if everybody either in the chat or on the tables, just take one word that maybe stood out during this today's meeting, and just, you don't have to necessarily come off microphone if you don't want to, but we always welcome that. But just one word that stood out to you and that we can keep moving along and take that with us. Do I have anybody on Zoom that would like to, or is there anybody in the chat? Okay. Give it a couple seconds. At the table, anything here? ¿Alguna palabra que de lo que hicimos ahora, algo que resaltó con usted, que lo sintió como que fue algo que aprendió, que quiere seguir conociendo? De lo que hablamos ahora.
Porque es muy interesante todo lo que se está hablando. Siento que es mucha información, pero es muy buena. Sí, no sabía lo que era,
Las teorías, ajá.
Am I on?
Okay, gracias, Maria. Maria basically says that it's very interesting and that she's learning a lot, that it's a lot of information, but that she's really learning, and was even just surprised to know that some of the stuff that we talked about, she had never even heard about. So that's always good, as you know, that we can give each other the tools. Anything on Zoom, anybody? You all want to go early. I get it. It's dinner time. Fran.
Yeah, I think, when I got started on this program, I had a different perception of what it was all inclusive. But now that I'm into it more, and I am grateful that you are putting this out to the public, because we need this desperately. We need the families to realize that we're behind them 110%. And by doing that, hopefully, with the help of our Lord, they'll teach their children will be able to play and enjoy life a lot easier. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran. That means a lot. And you know, part of what is happening here is as we learn together, because this is a journey that we are taking all together. But as we learn together, then we're also going to be the ones that we bring this out to the community. We can teach this to other people. We can enlighten other people, or other people can actually teach us more about it. But it's really about how we take this, how do we encourage other people to say, look, the tools that we're getting here are going to be needed for us. They're needed in our community. So we really, really want to do that. So I'm really thankful to hear that, Fran, because that really just means that we might just be on the right track, and we're going to get some amazing work done. Anyone else? No? Well, I'm going to go ahead and give you, somebody else? Okay.
Marta Rowe, I am very interested in how the association works because I am beginning with you.
Thank you, Marta. We're excited too, and we're developing together, learning together, and your voice and your experience actually means a lot to be part of this group as well. Anyone else? No? Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and give you some time back. Thank you again, as Darrell will normally say, you could have been somewhere else, but instead you chose to be with us today. And we're so grateful, and we look forward to, and thank you for the, Oh yeah, let me show some upcoming events real quick. Sorry about that. See, I can't even do this job right. We've got diversity, equity, and inclusion that has started. The next one is going to be February 17th. We've got the policy committee, which is the first committee that has already started. The next meeting will be February 22nd. If you're interested in any of this, we will get that information out to you. And then next slide. And always remember that you can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Linktree, and on Instagram. And if you have any ideas or any suggestions that we may need, please reach out to us. But again, you could have been somewhere else, tonight, but instead you chose to be here with us, and we are so grateful and thankful for you all being part of this, and especially the patience that you've had today. This was our first hybrid meeting, and I think I'm going to knock on wood because I don't want to jinx it, but I think overall it went really, really well, and we appreciate the patience of everybody, both present and virtually. So thank you and good night, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Because I'll be in the meeting tomorrow.
See you in the morning. You'll see me, friend.
Okay. All right. God bless you all and God bless America.
God bless America.